don't have any reason, if we trust God and let God do all the worrying for us. But that's so easy to say. And that night, when I pled for God to help me, I knew immediately that He was there, and within a few minutes, everything went to rolling, and He gave me the ability to think logically after losing all my blood, and they had to life flight me here to U of L, and my granddaughter was not harmed. And basically, I just want all of you to know that if you do not believe that God and that prayers can be answered, that the power of prayer, the first thing I remember saying to my husband was, please don't let such and such know about what has happened. And he said, you just don't even know the magnitude. But immediately my daughter got on her cell phone and just started down the list of people, and we just started this major prayer. She started major prayer all over the country. And the power of prayer got me through. God has gotten us all through. It's not an easy job. It's not something that's finished today. It's a process of healing that's going to take, maybe mentally I won't ever get over, but with God's help and all the positive people that are around me, that are guiding me and helping me to do everything I possibly can to make me feel better and to try to stay away from the negative people. That is why I'm here today, to let you know that the power of prayer got me through that night, and there was no reason why I left other than God has a purpose for me. Don't exactly know what that might be, but Cheryl walked into my life along with a good friend of mine. I can't see her right now, which one it is out there, her daughter, and kind of got me in this, so who knows where I'll head. But I have a lot of faith, and it's made me even stronger. And I'm very, very thankful for what I have.
And then my next guest was a former student of mine. I've been the best students I've ever had. And I knew she had a very, very close-knit family. We would talk about his family all the time. We would joke about this coat that he had on that I liked. Because my mom hates this coat. We used to joke about it. And Alex has his hands on everything. He's a wonderful leader, wonderful student, wonderful man of character. And I've always had a real fondness for Alex. He had a broken arm and still had a great attitude during the time I had him in class, and just was remarkable. So I knew all along he was very, very special. And then Alex went to study abroad in Spain. And while Alex was in Spain, he got one of those calls you never want to get. His mother had gone up to put something in storage in their garage. They had those pull-down steps. And when she went to put something in storage, when she was coming back down, she fell down the steps and she died. And that's the call he got, and he had to fly all the way back from Spain. And Alex, the Alex that I know, he through his tears, he sees this beautiful sunrise out the window. He's a musician, a very talented musician, and he composed a song to his mother. And you're actually going to hear that song a little bit. But I want Alex to tell us, when you get a call like that, something like happens, how do we move on because you still have such a positive, joyful attitude?
Well, I think the right way to start with it is just what was going through my mind at that time. Unfortunately, I can't really tell you. I don't know. It was so much at once. It almost didn't make sense. I mean, the words made sense, but I just couldn't get it. And I think what I did at that moment is I said, okay, I need some support right now. Unfortunately, when I had gotten the call, my host family was out for the evening, because in Spain, people go out much later than they do here, old and young alike. And my roommate was was somewhere else in Europe. I think he was in Bucharest, maybe. So he was having fun, and so it was me and their dog Rita, who's this little Westie Terrier. And my dad hates pets. I mean, absolutely hates pets. We've never had pets. I think, well, we had a goldfish once, I think, and that's about it. And it died. And then it was finished. So I had never known anything about pets and how they can sense people's emotions, but I obviously had been crying, and after I had gotten off the phone with my dad finally, and the dog had come up and crawled up in my lap, and I just thought to myself, okay, so I need to call my two best friends that are here in Spain with me, two friends that I had met that I hadn't even known a month, and they were there in 20 minutes from all the way across the city. And Madrid is a huge city, so they were there and they stayed with me. They helped me pack. They cried with me. They were there as I said goodbye to my mom on the phone. And they skipped class the next day and took me to the airport and saw me off onto the plane. I think the thing that was really the most difficult thing is I recognized, okay, I'm going home to this situation that is unfathomable. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. I don't know what I'm going to do. But what I realized is that in order to get to that place of uncertainty, in order to get to that place of sadness, in order to go home, I had to go by myself on a 12-hour trip. I had to go from Madrid to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Cincinnati. There was no direct flight. It was the best that we could do. And I had made it home within 24 hours, thanks to my family working so well. But you get on this plane, and it's a big plane. It's a transatlantic flight. So you think, I know how I'm going to pass the time. I'm just going to watch TV. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to sleep. I couldn't do any of those. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, well, what can I do? I've got 10 hours, and for a lot of it, I just sat and did nothing, and I think my mind just wandered off to where, I'm not really sure. But I did, at one point, say to myself, you know what, I'm going to write a song, because that's always been my way of coping. I think my biggest coping mechanism. So I got out my notebook that I was writing a lot of songs in, and turned to a blank page and started writing, and I probably erased the first 4 lines 100 times. But once I hit that 100th time and I wrote the 4 lines, everything else just flowed out, and it was just a completely natural process. I wrote the music in my head on the plane because I didn't have a piano. You can imagine how much I was dying to get to a piano when I got home. But I was also trying to get to see my mom before she had passed, which I didn't get to do. She had passed away while I was on the plane. I think what I realized is how I handle this situation is going to be looked at by all of the surrounding people that are in my life, my family, my friends, people in my community, people that knew my mom that really don't know me. And I realized that how I handle this can have a positive or a negative effect on them. And so I really took that mentality and applied it right from the get-go and said, okay, this is terrible. This is something I never, ever thought would happen. She was healthy. There were no problems with her. She was only 50 years old. She was young. I was only 21 at the time. I didn't think ever in my wildest dreams that I would lose a parent at 21 years old. And I think that, but I realized that if I could instead of always, I mean, and I cried my fair share, that's for sure. But instead of focusing on the negatives, I knew that what my